Okay, welcome everyone. For any of you that are new to this, I'm the chairperson of Calgary Dowsers. My name is Kelvin. We host monthly meetings every second Wednesday of each month. We've been hosting our meetings online with Zoom because we can't quite get back into the community center yet. We're hoping to get into the main hall in the Inglewood Community Center next month. But that's kind of pending on a few things that we're going over right now with the rental manager, Angie. So stay tuned. If you aren't already subscribed to our monthly newsletter, be sure to check out our website at www.calgarydowsers.com. And right at the top menu there, there's an option there to subscribe to our monthly newsletter. And that goes out once a month, sometimes twice a month, and just kind of gives you an update of all upcoming events and our guest speakers, etc. So I have an announcement on behalf of the Canadian Society of Questers. They are hosting their 41st annual Questers Fall Conference online via Zoom. They usually do it in person, but just due to what's going on, they're going to hold it on Zoom. And the name of their fall conference this year is 2020 Clear Vision. And I do have some information on that conference on our website, the Calgary Dowsers website. So it is free for all members. So if you're not a member, you can go to the Calgary Dowsers website, and right on the front menu there, the top menu, there's a link that you can click to become a member. So right now, I think they have like 6 or 7 guest speakers on. Really good lineup of speakers. I will post in the message box the link to their poster so that you have the Zoom links and all the information to all the speakers. I would like to do a shout out to a long-term member of Calgary Dowsers. Her name is Joy Brokoff. She's a good friend of mine, and she's been a promoter for Calgary Dowsers for a very long time. So she owns Joyful Promotions, and she does promoting for all different types of businesses and companies. And she just emailed me the other day and said that if she can't find someone to take over the business, she's going to be ending it at the end of the year. So super grateful for having Joy in our corner at Calgary Dowsers and helping promote us. And she's got stands all over Calgary and all different types of coffee shops. And, you know, she's got brochures and posters to everyone that she promotes. So she does a lot of work. She puts in a lot of her energy into this work, and she's just an incredible person. So thank you so much, Joy, for all the work that you've done for the Dowsers, and, you know, thank you for being such a good person. And I know that your future endeavors will be great, and I'm sure that, you know, as one door closes, another one opens. So we wish you luck. I know you're still going to be with us for, you know, until end of December. So I'll be thanking you a lot because you've done a lot for the Dowsers. So I'd like to introduce Suze Casey. Thank you so much, Sue, for coming on today. Suze Casey is the developer of the belief repatterning technique. She's an entrepreneur and co-founder of Learn It, Live It transformational seminars. Sue is the author of Belief Repatterning Technique for Flipping the Switch to Positive Thoughts, which is published through the Hay House, which I have tons of books that are published by Hay House. And so just phenomenal authors come out of there. So congratulations on you know, writing that book and being published by Hay House. That really, it speaks for itself, Sue. If anyone has any questions whatsoever during the presentation, there is a chat box. So please feel free to type into the chat box whatever your questions are. And Sue has access to the chat box. So whenever she checks it, if she sees that there's some questions, she'll answer it as she can. I think I covered everything. So Sue, thank you again for doing this presentation. Super grateful for you to be here on our Zoom call here. And with no further ado, take her. It's all you.
Thank you so much, Calvin. Really appreciate being invited. And there may be some of you who remember the last time that I presented for the Dowsers. I think it's kind of, more than a bread box, but not as big as a football field. Somewhere between maybe 5 and 15 years ago. I can't quite remember it. I was going to look it up, but I just thought, I'm really, really grateful to be asked again. And I do hope to be able to join you sometime in person so that we can do some hands-on kinds of things. But tonight, I'm going to talk about how to be proactive, and positive, even when stuff's going on. And so we do have the chat box. And as Calvin mentioned, totally here to answer your questions. I want to make sure that this time is your time. I do have a presentation, and I taught junior high for a lot of years. So all the dumb questions have already been asked in my life. So ask away. I survived them all. And just one quick little thing, Calvin, I should have let you know beforehand. My name's pronounced Suze, like Jews.
I apologize, Suze.
Okay. I'd rather be called Sue than Susie.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for correcting me. Thank you.
No worries at all. I was just kind of, as you were doing it, I was like, oh, I forgot to check in with him on that one. Because it's like, yeah, people are like, is it Susie? Is it, what is it? It's Suze, like Suzanne, drop the Ann. So now we've got it. So many of you may have discovered that this has been kind of an interesting time, hasn't it? 6 weeks ago now, our world was, we thought, kind of set. And then 6 months ago tomorrow, everything shifted and changed. And so we're going to talk a little bit tonight about what happened, not in terms of what happened, but what happened to you energetically. Because you are Dowsers, because you are Questers, because you are energy, declaring yourself as energy workers, even though you may not actually say that out loud. You're working in the energy, and the energy has shifted significantly. So I'm going to answer some questions that I've been hearing from all kinds of people. Like, why am I so tired? Why am I sleeping so much? Why can't I sleep at all? Why am I waking up panicky? Why am I eating all these foods I know I don't like and they aren't good? All of those questions, we are going to address them. And most importantly, give you some things that'll really support you in navigating, as I'm saying, this new normal. I love it when people say, we want to go back to normal. And it's like, well, we're all wired to go forward. So there's not going to be any going back, because if we're worried about going back, we're going to just get stuck in the middle. And my friend across the street says normal's just a setting on a washing machine. And so what it is more to do is, how do you navigate the now and what's next? And we spend a lot of time in kind of that projection about what's going to happen next, and oh no, and a lot of time in the, oh well, that's what happened before, but actually we have free will. And so we'll be looking at that, and it'll be based, as Calvin mentioned, on my book, Belief Repatterning, the amazing technique for flipping the switch to positive thoughts. So let's just dive in here for a moment. Oh, before we do that, I was talking to Calvin earlier and mentioning that I also do dowsing. I have my energy, I just call it my rod, but on my desk at all times. And I use it a lot to just identify where energy is and then shift it. And so I've used dowsing. My previous partner was a realtor, and I worked with him. Anytime that he had a new listing coming up, I would go in and do some energy work on the house and shift the energy, because energy, as you know, tendrils around and hangs on to things. And so part of what I have done is helped make energy work be not woo-woo. Folks that are woo-woo think I'm pretty pragmatic and practical, and folks that are practical and pragmatic think I'm kind of woo-woo. So I figure I've hit about the right spot. So please have water, a pen, and paper handy. And when I say water, we're going to be bending some brain cells. And in order for your brain to work effectively and efficiently, you need water oxygen, and protein. Now, I'm not going to be providing any protein tonight because we're not in person, but I am going to ask you to make sure that when I say big deep breath in, you do big deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth, and have some water. And I'm not talking liquid. Beer won't do it. It is water. Okay. Herbal tea will let you get away with that one, but your brain needs water in order to build new neural pathways. Any questions that you have, please pop them in. And I'm also okay to have conversation back and forth. I don't know if you know how to manage that, Calvin, at your end, but if that's a possibility, and I'm happy to stay and answer. And also, what are some of your best ideas? How have you been navigating this? Because what I have found is that there's a lot of tippiness going on. People who are usually pretty solid are finding themselves a bit tippy. So as Calvin mentioned, I'm one of the principals of Learn It, Live It Transformational Seminars. It's a company that my partner and I, my partner Phil Hoffman, Dr. Phil Hoffman, and I started to provide courses and seminars. I also do coaching and mentoring as well. And so that's how you get a hold of us, 587-449-8224. Yes, that's a local number. I live in Airdrie. So let's dive in. Most people get you should think positively. However, it's really hard to do when the rug gets pulled out from underneath you. And it's like, so how do we think positive around this one, Suze? I'm not talking about la-la pretending things away. I'm talking about, well, what happened is it is, and now what are we going to do about it in terms of moving things forward? So my work is based in how we learn rather than trying to fix something that's broken. So let's just think about something in your life, and I'm going to just have you think about it and say, I have to fix that, it's broken. And as you're thinking about it, and breathe it in, I have to fix that, it's broken. And feel how that feels in your body, feel the energy of it. I don't have to explain to you guys how to do that. You know how to feel the energy in your body, okay? And now let's try thinking about the same situation and going, this is a possibility for me to become a better version of me. Think about that same situation, go, this is an opportunity for me to become a better version of me. Now, what do you notice different? What's different about those two? Now, those of you who were on earlier, I was playing a bit with Calvin around some of his wording. And again, this is not about being the word police. It's about being present in your body so that you're using all of those fabulous facilities that you have to sense the energy and make sure that as much as possible you're operating here. And I'm going to explain to you why that's so important. But before we do, I want to share a quick story with you. I went on an airplane. I know it's kind of daring, but I had the opportunity to go out to the Vancouver Island and sit in the ocean for a few days. And I was like, my need to go sit in salt water was greater. And so off I went. Now, I've done that flight a whole bunch of times. My cousin lives out there. It's just an easy flight. But I came home a couple of weeks ago and I walked in the door. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I looked at my partner and I said, I'm going to go lie down. I just feel like I need a nap. And I went and lay down and I slept for 3.5 hours. When I woke up, he said to me, wow, you two must have stayed up late last night. I said, no, I was in bed at 9. I got 10.5 hours sleep last night. It just takes a lot of extra energy to be out in the world right now. And there's a couple of reasons for it. Number one, you are wired to make a decision about something and then toss that back to your subconscious mind, which then runs the program. Your subconscious mind has been going, I don't have a program for this. And so you're having to do more things in the frontal cortex, which is way more exhausting. That's one reason. The other reason, and the one that I think will be affecting most of you, is that as a planet, people are pretty unsettled right now. There's lots of, I don't know what's going to happen, what abouts, what is, and a lot of uncertainty. And that vibe is exhausting. And so what our job is as energy workers is to ensure that we're vibing above it, to make sure that you're filling yourself up first before giving to everyone else. Because when you give, you're going to run out and go splat. And so whatever level of self-care, self-support you were doing pre-COVID, you needed to up that at the end of March. and whatever level you were doing until, let's say, about beginning of June, when they started opening things up, you need to up it again. And now with school starting, we need to up it again, because there's just been this kind of uncertainty. Now, even if you are in an okay place, mindfully, we're animals and we pick up the vibe around us. So just like if we see a deer, kind of go like this and prick their ears up and the whole herd moves, they don't stop and go, Bambi, what's up? They just move with the energy of the herd. We're animals and we move with the energy of the herd. So not only are we going to look at how to create positivity as a habit, even when times are tough, but we're going to look at how you get your subconscious mind to do it for you. It's super powerful. And because it's so powerful, it can run the program for you even while you're sleeping. You're going to say, yeah, but Suze, you just said that you came home and had a 3.5-hour nap. Yeah, I did. Because I recognized that I was kind of down on my energy a little bit. And I was like, next time, what I'll do is before I go to the airport, I will stop in the ocean, stick my feet and stand there for 10 minutes and get myself totally filled up. And then I'll go get on the airplane. Does that make some sense? So making sure that you take care of you first. So I talk about the inner critic and the inner coach, and we are not going to remove your inner critic. There's a really good reason for it. Your inner critic is designed to keep you alive. It's doing an awesome job, but think of it like a dog that will bark when something in the environment is wrong or not the same. When something changes in the environment, your inner critic does the same. Okay? It will show up and go, this does not feel like you. And it may sound more like that. Okay? But rather than removing it because its job is to keep you alive, what repatterning does is take the mask off and say, what are you pointing to? Okay? And so we're not going to remove the inner critic, although I know it's tempting. Rather, we're going to use the inner critic to transform and give the coach something to work with. So, new normal. How do we create a new normal? Well, repetition plus emotion is learning. Let me just repeat that one for you. Repetition plus emotion is learning. And some of you who are of the age that I am may remember when we learned a lot of things, they just used repetition. And sometimes in the late 60s, early 70s, it was realized that we could learn more through play than through discipline and drill and work. The reality is you need a balance of both of them, but emotion is stronger. And so what repatterning does is focus on the emotion. Now, I did a video that is on YouTube. There's a pile of them there. But I did one the end of February. And the theme of it was, you can be in fear or you can be informed. And you can't do both at the same time. Now you might say, but I can get informed and then get fearful. Yes. But the thing is that you can't get informed from a place of fear. Because if you're in a place of fear, you're going to just be feeding that and trying to keep that the same. And so repatterning is about getting you to this side of the line where you have access to your intelligence and your creativity, making the information there, and then going, okay, so there is something here that I need to attend to. That's a whole lot different than, but what? Being in the spin cycle of the fear. So when it's integrated, learning becomes what is your new normal. Notice it has to be integrated first, which means it needs to be applied, practiced, connected to things. And then it becomes part of you. Make sense? So that new normal becomes your way of being. And I was just visiting some friends up in the Okanagan on the weekend, and their sons were kind of doing the conversation about COVID that many people in their early 30s out there would subscribe to, which is, masks are dumb and there's no problem and more people are dying of drugs, like all those kinds of conversations. And I listened for a while and I just said, I understand your perspective. I understand that you've got that viewpoint, and I would too if I lived here. And they kind of stopped and looked at me and I said, I'm holding a space that this COVID time will be a time of increased gentleness, understanding, compassion, and awareness. And I said, whenever something shows up that's this, which is that judgment, negativity, it's there to point us to something else. And since I've introduced the inner critic, let me introduce the inner coach as well. Okay, so I call the voices in your head the monkeys. Not to be confused with those of you who remember Hey Hey were the monkeys, and not to be confused with Buddhist monkey mind, because I was like, it's not always bad. Buddhist monkey mind really talks about the negativity of it, the chatter of it, but you've also got this monkey in your head, and that's also can chatter. And so what we're doing is giving these two something to talk about rather than this one just yelling at you. Having an intelligent other voice in your head to have that. I'm not talking about split personality here, but rather taking a look at both sides. Okay? So this is a little bit of the stuff that I offer. I'll just let you have a boo at that. Is there any questions to just pop into the chat box at this point in time? Anything that you really want me to cover tonight? Anything like that? Okay. This is a great time for everybody to have a drink of water. Okay. Oh, hi, Joy. Yes, those monkeys. I get that there's more than two. Totally get it. Okay. But as a previous junior high teacher, I learned, decide what the two parts are and then transform it rather than trying to play whack-a-mole with all the different ones that are showing up. All right, I'm going to continue on. Know that you don't have to wait for me to stop and say if you've got any questions. I'm just wanting to let you know when people say, wow, when I Google you, you're all over the place. Yeah, I've been doing this for 30 years full time. Well, not 21, almost 22 years full time, 30 years. So this is not something new I dreamed up last week, but rather something I put together. So we're going to explore repatterning. I'll do a demo with you, give you some examples. Also let you know about some opportunities so that you can delve deeper into it and how you might connect it with your dowsing practice. And I'm going to give you some tips and super easy techniques that you can use right away to shift your mindset. So we're going to do one right now. I'm going to ask you, who made it online today? Put your hand up. Now don't put your hand up little and wimpy. Put your hand straight up in the air like this. You made it online. And if you're listening later, I'm listening online later. And while you're thinking about all the things that you had the moving parts that you had to organize to make sure that you were here, just bend your elbow and give yourself a little pat on the back. Okay? Did you give up your Wednesday evening to find out about patting yourself on the back? Yes, you did. Because here's the thing. None of us likes being taken for granted. You don't like it when your boss does it or your kids do it or your partners do it. But newsflash, you're sleeping with the one that takes you most for granted. And I'm not talking about the person on the next pillow. I'm talking about the person on your pillow. So begin looking at the things that you would thank someone else for and give yourself credit for it. Give yourself a pat on the back. So for example, none of us would have even dreamed of getting a ride somewhere without saying thank you to the person who gave us the ride when they dropped us off. And yet, you hop in the car, go someplace, get out, do the thing, go back in the car, hop up, and never say thank you to yourself. I know it seems super simple, and it is, but it's a practice. You do it a few times consciously and go, good job, nice driving, because you know what the conversation would be going on in your head if you didn't get back safely. You'd be beating yourself up or putting yourself down. And so that's backwards. What you want to do is act like you would with a friend. So with a friend, you would say, thank you so much for taking me to Safeway. Really appreciate the ride. And if the friend got in an accident on the way, you wouldn't say, you freaking idiot, no, you wouldn't put them down. You would say, it's okay. We'll get through it. So speaking to yourself the way that you speak to your friend, it's another I call it an easy technique. It does take a bit of practice. So why are you here? You made a commitment to be here. You organized all the moving parts to share this time. You are literally spending your life, your energy, and your time. Now, in the early 90s, I studied with Bob Proctor, and he had a cassette tape. Some of you may remember those. And I remember listening to it. I was driving down Silver Springs Boulevard, right by the fire hall on Silver Springs Boulevard in Northwest Calgary. And he said a sentence that shifted my life. And I'm going to share it with you. He said, "What are you trading your life for?" What are you trading your life for? 7 words that totally, it was like, I hadn't thought about that. I was just doing my life like most people do. But you're literally exchanging your energy for something. And I think one of the wonderful gifts of this COVID time is that a large number of people have begun to go, because the treadmill kind of stopped and we had an opportunity to reflect. I remember in April, I just was saying to anybody that would listen, just grab a blanket and a cup of tea. It's called a rest. Just have a little, and I think we may have some more opportunity for that. I think most people have started to go, wow, things have changed. And I'm not sure they're going to go back. We were out for a walk. We go just about every night, but we were sitting on the bench along this pathway. And I said to Phil, I just realized that when I see a group of bikes go by, there's usually like a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old. Like it's a family group instead of like 4 12-year-olds. People are doing things more in their family. And I think parents are having an opportunity to actually parent instead of be the timekeeper. You know, we got to get to school and then we got to drop you off at this time. Then we got to take you to band, or we have to take you to scouts, or we have to take you to whatever the next activity is. Then you have to get home, then you have to do your homework, and then you have to go to bed, then you have to get up, then we have to. Whoa, that's not parenting. There's an opportunity actually for families to get to know each other. And so we're trading our lives. So if you're one of the people that have been sitting there going, well, I'm just going to sit and wait till this blows over. I'm not saying that. I am saying grab a blankie and be restful and decide what you're trading your life for. Because you're going to be looking back on this time for the rest of your life and going, it's going to be like how my parents looked back at the war. It's a real pivotal moment for us. I think we're living in the middle of a big social experiment. So I want to ensure that everyone that I'm connected with makes a terrific return on your investment, not only in the time that you're spending with me today, but I'm hoping that I will say some things, ask some questions that may have the same effect for you that those 7 words of Bob Proctor's had for me. And if it's only just those 7 words that I shared that you go, whoa, then this has been worth my time and effort and energy, and I trust yours as well. So you are here now. It's not about what happened before. It's not about what's going to happen in the future. And one of the things that Calvin said to me is that I'm hoping that you'll help people identify their limiting beliefs. I actually don't do that because I know that whatever we focus energy on, we're going to get more of. And quite frankly, I think the limiting beliefs have limited you long enough. So let's not focus on what's the limiting belief, but rather, what's it pointing us toward? Okay, what is the thing that we're moving toward? So my background is in educational psychology and in curriculum design, so how we learn. But I also was one of those kids when I was 15. I came home from school all excited because they were doing a new course called World Religions and I wanted to take it. My parents were worried I was going to turn out to be a hippie. I did, but that's okay. I'm a good hippie. I actually am one of the people who founded the Calgary Folk Festival. And so I have my hippie credentials. But here's the thing. I looked at the sort of the Eastern philosophy about what we focus on, we create more of. And I looked at the psychology that I was studying that said we have to find the root cause. And I was like, this is confusing to me. And so what I see the ick as, the limiting beliefs as, all of those things are like highway signs. So if you're traveling from Calgary to Edmonton, you see the highway sign that says Edmonton, 297 kilometers or whatever it says. You don't stop and investigate the sign and see how it's planted and wonder how long it's been there and look at what kind of, no, you just go, that's a sign and I'm moving in this direction. Limiting beliefs, same thing. When you come up against them and you can feel that there's something there, rather than going, what's wrong? Where did this come from? Who gave it to me? It's what might it be pointing me toward? So That little pat on the back, that's just like me. This is one of the posters that I created. We have a whole program for preschools and schools. We piloted it in a number of Alberta schools. And in fact, Alberta Children's Services has given accreditation to our courses as being for people who work in daycares and before and after school programs. They can use them as part of their professional development. And so I made that a group of posters up for them for visuals, but this one has found its way to a lot of places, because a lot of people will do something that they kind of mess up and then they'll go, oh, that's just like me. No, that's just like me when you do something on the upside. Okay. Awesome. So a little bit about who I am. I have mentioned some of this. I've been in private practice since 1999. And a number of people in Calgary, when they find it, they kind of go, where have you been? Well, I've been here, but for a lot of that time, I was going away to work, and then I would come home to be a grandma and a parent and supporting my aging parents who've now passed away. And so it was about 6 years ago, where I decided I really wanted to stay in Calgary and spend more time in this area. That probably also coincided with about the time I met Dr. Phil, my Dr. Phil, that is. So I have been in private practice since 1999, full-time, and before that part-time. And I developed this technique when I was in my early 30s to help me get through a tough time. Okay. I do have, as I mentioned, a master's degree in learning styles with a minor in psychology, and I taught with the Calgary Board of Education for 20 years. And here it says I annually teach thousands. Well, directly like this, but I'm always amazed. I'll hear from people continuously about, I just found your book. And so I have no idea where that goes. I also have 4 years of radio shows that I hosted where people would call in and I would do repatterning with them. And as Calvin mentioned, I am with Hay House. I'm the only Western Canadian author with Hay House, something that I still kind of pinch myself on. And they called me. People say, how did you do that? Well, I answered the phone, picked up the phone one day, and it was, hi, this is Reed, and I'm with Hay House Books, and we've come across your work, and we'd like you to do a book for us and do a radio show. And I thought it was a friend making a joke, but I played along, fortunately, because it turned out to be real. So what is belief repatterning? Well, here you go. This is the whole thing. I'm giving you the big whole model. This is it. There's a line. On one side of the line is the inner critic, and the other side of the line is the coach. Now, the inner critic is not bad. Remember, it keeps you alive. But rather, if you stay in that energy, it will drag you down and wear you out. The inner coach, that's supportive energy for you. So this is not bad and good. This is, if I stay in it, it's going to drag me down and I'm going to become a victim. This is, it empowers me and helps me be more of who I am. And if you know anything about Carl Jung's work, this is the shadow. The shadow is that dark part of us that actually holds the space for the stars to come out, the brightness to come out. Each and every one of us has had a time where they've been like, whew, that was a tough time that you were in and you thought everything was pretty black. And now you look back at it and go, oh, it was tough, but it was the best thing that could have happened because it led me to this. So, make sense? Critic and coach. Questions, comments, curiosities, wonders, abouts, ahas. All right. Let's continue. So some of you may have heard of the name Bruce Lipton, Dr. Bruce Lipton. He wrote Biology of Belief. If you want the science behind how this works at a cellular level, he's your man. Great stuff. So Lipton, like the soup, Lipton, and Bruce Lipton, Biology of Belief. When I met him at a Hay House conference, he said, Suze, I can show people what happens to their physiologically, to their cells when they think negatively. But he said, I have no idea how to help them change it other than just through awareness. And I went, I know, Bruce. You see, I did a lot of studying in my early 30s because I knew it was important to be positive, but I didn't know how. And I got frustrated because everybody was like, you should think positively. Like, I got that part. Tell me how and I'll do it. As long as it's legal, moral, and fun. And then one day it was like, I'm a curriculum designer. What if I created a program that would train your subconscious mind to go to the positive as it's happened? And that's what we did. So there's two parts to belief repatterning. One is the 7-step system, which is 7 statement types, and we'll do some of that. And the other is the simple practices, tips, and techniques. So that patting yourself on the back is one of them. I call them tried on practices or own work. And they both work together to train your mind to go to the upside. You don't have to do it a billion times, just a couple of times. Then your subconscious mind will run it for you. And if it's on this side of the line, the learning happens faster. So are you ready for these things? Now, you may have noticed that around you, probably not, well, maybe you've noticed it with you, you probably have, but you've noticed around you that people's wicks are a little shorter. They're like a little bit tippier. They're a little bit, whoa, kind of, you're not sure if you're going to say something and they're going to snap at you. Well, that's because of that. Everybody's in that kind of, got to figure it out place. And we pick up on it. So how to stay solid when life tries to knock you down? Actually, life is not sitting there going, it's the 9th of September. I think I'll go knock that person over. It's about navigating things and making sure that you know who you are to stay solid. So with repatterning, you'll find missing pieces to create the life that you desire. And if you're already living the life you desire, awesome. It'll help reinforce it. And understanding that everything can work in your favor. Kathy just asked, did I do an exercise to explain your technique? Well, I've been using it a little bit. You'll find out. I'm going to be doing one coming up though, Kathy. You haven't missed a lot. I've mostly been doing storytelling, which is part of how we learn best. And it's all recorded, right, Calvin? Awesome. Calvin's got it recorded, so you haven't missed anything, Kathy. So glad you're here. So repatterning, I didn't explain the emotional charge card. Well, remember, what are you trading your life for? That's when I came up with the idea of an emotional charge card, that we're spending it like a charge card. And oftentimes people hand over their emotional charge card to someone or something else and say, go ahead, charge it up. I'll pay the bill and I'll pay interest on it. And I don't like it very much. But here's the thing. You don't have to be subject to that. We can help you get your emotional charge card strong and, most importantly, keep it in your own pocket. So I'm going to just tell you, you already know something that's going to help you keep that emotional charge card strong. At this point, I'm going to say there's an imaginary sign that says, there is a bad pun about to happen. Please laugh because Suze thinks it's funny. Okay, you've been warned. What's the best way to keep a positive balance on your emotional charge card? Give yourself credit. Get it? I'll be here for the next 45 minutes. So the single most important factor, as Bob Proctor said also, is the quality of your self-talk. And so how do you change that self-talk? A lot of people think that they're just stuck with it. It's just what goes on in my head. Yeah, but you can train them. They're monkeys. You just have to train them. And it's not a luxury. Positive thinking is not a luxury. That inner critic, when you hang out there, it depresses your immune system. And I think we can all agree that a very strong immune system right now isn't a luxury. It is absolutely what we want. And the more time you spend on what I call the upper side of the line, the inner coach side of the line, your immune system gets stronger. Now, I developed this technique, as I said, in my early 30s. I had been diagnosed not with one, but with 2 stage 4 malignant cancers over a period of 18 months. And then another 8 months later, I got diagnosed with chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, and depression. I know, hard to imagine. Why would anybody be depressed with 2? You better put your life and affairs in order, right around your 30th birthday. It was not fun. And I knew that I had to think positive. But it's really hard to do. And so it was like, let me train my mind to do it for me. Now, I'm not saying I have found the cure to cancer, please hear me. But I will tell you that since I've been doing this work with myself over the last not quite 30 years, I've not gotten sick again. Going from having immune deficiency disorders to, I don't even hardly ever get a cold. Keep yourself here. It boosts your immune system. So it's not a luxury. It's kind of a necessity right now. Your thoughts affect your immune system. And they're the bottom line of everything. Your relationships, your finances, your career, your health, everything, all based on this beautiful 6 inches of real estate. And so people say to me, I don't know what to do. And my answer is, be who you are. And then the do will show up. But who are you, really? Anything that's on this side that defines you, and you're going, oh yeah, but, well, here's the deal. That's not who you are. It's the shadow of who you are. And if we think about a shadow, it's dark and it's backwards. So we're going to flip it around and help move it forward. So on a piece of paper, grab a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen or something that you can write with. And we're going to do a quick exercise. And Kathy, you're going to love this because we're going to do a real repatterning right here. Okay? What I'm going to ask you to do is think about the last 6 months. What's gone on for you for the last 6 months. And as things come up, I'm going to ask you to put them on one side of the line or the other. And it's just about how you are feeling about it. Okay? And so, for example, you might be feeling ick about something. So you put it on that side. Or you might be feeling great about it. What we're going to be looking at is that inner critic is where the 4 F's live. Fight, flight, freeze. Oh, what's the 4th one? We don't say it out loud in polite company, but it rhymes with fire truck, and we've all experienced it. When you're on the upside of the line, you have your intelligence, your creativity, your skills and abilities. So I want to give you an exercise that's going to help you recognize those 2 sides. It's an opportunity to either be less of who you are or more of who you are. And you're the one in the middle that gets to choose. Okay? So I'm going to put 1 minute on the time. Okay, I'll give you 2. Let's do 2 minutes on the timer. Let's just cancel that 1 hour and 13 minutes. That's too long. We'll put 2 minutes on the timer and just jot down what you're thinking about the last 6 months. Okay, so since COVID was declared, middle of March, what's been happening for you? What things have you accomplished? What things have you, like whatever, and just sort them onto the 2 sides of those lines, of that line. Okay, you ready? Let's go. Keep going. Whatever comes to mind. Okay, big deep breath in. Have a drink of water. Now, the cool thing about this list is it's your list, so you can keep adding to it. But I'm imagining that everybody had at least one thing on both sides of the line, because we're going to use this to do some repatterning. Because everything that happens for you is an opportunity for you to be less of who you really are or more of who you really are, and you're the one in the middle that makes the decision. You're the one that decides which side of the line that you're playing on. And I promised you I would be giving you some tips and easy techniques that you could use right away. This is one of them. Whenever you've got the get it going on in your head, you know, the spin cycle or the indecision trying to figure out something, just draw a line down the middle of the page, a down arrow on the left-hand side, an up arrow on the right-hand side, and put 2 minutes on your timer, have a big drink of water, and just dump it all out of your head. I call it a brain dump. But the difference between this and kind of your general list making is that you're consciously saying, this is draining my energy and it's not really who I am. This is raising my energy and it defines me. So that we're learning to define ourselves on this side of the line rather than here. Make sense? Okay, so you're the deciding factor. And so let's support you in becoming more of who you really are. You'll notice I'm saying every situation, conversation, thought, everything either makes you empowered or victim. And you're the one who chooses. You're going, oh, no, it gets chosen for me. That's because you've handed your emotional charge card over. It's your emotional charge card. Let's get it in your pocket. You get to spend your life the way that you choose to. All right, so we're going to transform the victim story and write the story that empowers and creates a better version, an even better version of you. Nothing wrong with the version right now, but we're going to just up the story. So in the last 6 months, that's what we were looking at. What drained your energy? What raised your energy? Now, just another little about this exercise. The down arrow is on the left-hand side and the right arrow is on the right, or the up arrow is on the right-hand side. That's intentional because in our society, when we read from left to right, and we want to transform what's over here to here. In fact, I'm going to ask you to take a look at something on that downside. And if you don't have any, excuse me, anything written there, you can borrow one from somebody else. I just call it the ick, okay? And if you don't have anything on the upside, let's just put gratitude. Make sure that everybody's got something on both sides of the line. Are you with me? Okay, so think about something that's ick and take your hands and put them into fists with your thumbs down and punch them together like this. Okay, so when you're feeling like this, it's pointing you, so get your little pointer fingers out, it's pointing you to love yourself enough to transform it to this. Okay, so that's what belief patterning is, when I'm feeling like this. Okay, so you ready to transform it? How do you feel about the wins? The things that are on the upside? You're going, but I want to talk about how do I fix the downside? No. We always start with let's reinforce here, because learning is best when we focus on strengths. Trying to fix things on the inner critic side is unproductive, challenging, and wheel spinning. Why? Because your intelligence, creativity, intuition, all of your toolkit is all on this side of the line. So I'm hoping that if you have been having a habit of beating yourself up going, I should know better. I've studied all the stuff. I should know better than to get my... Stop, please. You're on this side of the line. You don't have access to all that good stuff you've learned. It's shelf help. It's not self-help. It's sitting over there. You don't have access to it. What repatterning will do is take everything that you've learned before and make it accessible to you, because you're not over here in the fight, flight, freeze, and the other F that we don't say out loud. You want to acknowledge this. We don't want to push it away. It's not about la la la. No, we acknowledge it, but we don't feed it. Acknowledge it. So instead, we're going to transform it. So we're going, this doesn't feel like me. Instead, I'd rather have something else. Okay? And then once we do that, then we choose, how do I want to be? I can be here, I can be here. I'm the one who gets to pick. And I'm picking, you're not going to pick this one. You'll pick this one. And then that strengthens you and empowers you. You remember when you were a little kid and it was like, you can't make me, I'm choosing this. Well, pull out some of that inner 3-year-old. Choose what it is that you want, because you get to decide. And let's take this. Oh, Kathy's just asked, am I meaning fight, flight, freeze, and fawn? No, the fourth one, Kathy, rhymes with fire truck. It has a lot of less letters in it. It's got the first letter the same and the last 3 letters the same. And it's the when you're seeing red and you just can't kind of get around it. I don't know what fawn means other than it's a cute little Bambi. Maybe you've got something for it. All right, so let's continue on here. But then once you've made the choice, then it's, how might I apply this? Where can I create this? And you want it to be super simple, because you'll strengthen that inner coach when you go, you know what, I could feel this way when I'm doing this. And then I remember, when did I do this? Okay. And we're doing the 7 steps right now. Then you claim it. And then you give gratitude. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to ask you to take a look at something that is on the upside of the line. And we're going to reinforce it, okay? So we don't need to transform anything. We're already at the line. So you can use repatterning to take something that's already good and pop it up. And so take a look at one of those things on the upside of the line that you've accomplished and go, you know, somebody else accomplished that. What would I think about them? If you don't have anything on the upside, remember I suggested use gratitude. Okay, and how would that be? Then you would be feeling grateful. Find the emotion of it. So for example, it took me about 4 or 5 days, and I took our entire 2.5-day course and pivoted and put it online. How does that make me feel? It makes me feel productive. It makes me feel successful. It makes me feel creative. Okay, so what's the feeling words of how, when you look at those words on the upside, how does it make you feel? Okay, we want the feeling of it, not just the thing of it. So instead, I wouldn't say I'm choosing to be someone who pivots my courses online. No, I'm choosing to be successful, productive, and creative. Get it? Now, nobody has ever not been able to get out of my courses because their head got too big and egotistical. That's not about that. It's about recognizing the strengths. You would say that about somebody else. And so remember, we talked about talking to yourself the way you would a good friend. And so how do you want to be? And then try this on. I choose to be more of who I really am, and that is, and put that quality there. Okay? I choose to be more of who I really am. And that is, this is how we reinforce it, okay? And now, lots of people just go, oh, that's it. I've just declared it. Well, it feels pretty powerful because it's in the present moment, but you're gonna have one of those monkeys come up and go, it's an awesome idea, but how are you gonna do it? And so 2 or 3 easy ways of creating that be, okay? Now, I'm gonna suggest that you pick something that you were already planning to do anyway, and just tie that feeling to it. So for example, I'll use the one with productive. I'm free to be productive, or I will be productive tonight. Now, I'm not going to try to fly to the moon and back again. Notice it says easy ways. So what am I already going to be doing? Well, I'm free to be productive and creative tonight when I sit down and read a chapter in my book. Not of my book, the book I'm reading. It's not the activity you're doing, it's the mindset you take to the activity. Or I'm free to be creative and productive tonight when Phil and I go for our walk when I finish. Okay? So what are 2 or 3 easy ways? And I like to do something that I can do kind of right away, something I can do before I go to sleep, and something for tomorrow. And so I'm not going to say I'm free to be, productive and creative tomorrow when I complete the entire manuscript of the next book. No, but I will say I'm free to be. Tomorrow I will be, let me think, creative and productive when I look through that file folder and make a decision on the next place that I'm going to be writing. Let it be super simple, but you can't, because here's a secret. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between little and big, hard and easy. So let's make it little and easy, because we're just training the subconscious mind. Okay. All right. The next step is the I remember, because you need to tie the new learning. So when did you feel creative and productive, or whatever your word was? So a couple of reminders. I know what it feels like. So we're strengthening them by tying that new information into something that you already know. So I was creative and productive when I, but again, use the ones for yourself. I'm just giving you an example. Is that making some sense? I'm not seeing any questions. So, and then you want to claim it. Okay, thank you for the thumbs up, Helen. Appreciate that. Okay, then you want to claim it. So it's like, I am creative and productive. That's who I am. Now, if you think this feels a bit weird, it might, but here's the thing. You've been really easily defining yourself as being a screw up or a mess up or a whatever on this side of the line. You already have the skill set. We're just flipping it over. Okay, and you're really good with others. And so begin doing that for yourself. The only way you're going to get too big for your britches is by eating too many chicken wings and drinking too much beer. Positive thinking does not make you too big for your britches. Sorry, your mom or your gran was wrong. It doesn't make you too big for your britches, okay? It actually makes you an empowered and more humble in many ways. Okay, so, and then once we've got that claiming, then there's the 7th step, which is the gratitude. So to yourself first, okay? I'm grateful to myself. And if you can, to the situation. And I'm grateful to that opportunity because it made me more of who I really am. Okay? So I wanted to run that by you once on a strength, on an attribute, because I want you to realize that repatterning is not about fixing something that's broken. My dad was a veterinarian, and at my house, if you got fixed, meant you couldn't have puppies or kittens. So we're not doing any fixing. You're not broken. In fact, congratulate yourself because you got where you are because you put things in place to protect you, to keep you safe, to keep you alive. It worked. And now it might be feeling a little tight, a little not working. You don't even have to call it a limiting belief. Let's just use it to create a belief that supports you. Big deep breath in. All right, so there's the 7 steps. For those of you who have read the book, you're going, those aren't the same. Well, these are the ones I put together for kids, and I usually use these for teaching. So Calvin, I know you've been reading the book. So the not me is the forgiveness stage. The instead is the permission stage. Choice is the same. I will is the freedom stage. The I remember is the affirmation stage. The I am is the surrender stage. And if anybody can count, you're going, Suze, you've been saying 7 steps and there's only 6. That's right, because it's all tied together with gratitude. Okay? So those are the steps. And so we're going to use them. So I want to ask you, take one of those ick things that maybe you're not feeling all that good about. And if you don't have one, we can just call it the ick because there'll be one that'll show up at some point in time. So you can do it proactively. You don't have to wait for it. And we're going to transform that ick to growth, to strengthen your inner coach. So if you want to get really graphic on it, we're going to take the poop out of the barnyard and we're going to turn it into fertilizer, okay? And grow what you really want. So here's some of those statements. And remember, Calvin is recording this. You've got this. I'm also good to send you just the PowerPoint document if you want, but they'll have it in the recording. So whatever works, just let me know.
Yeah,
okay.
That would be amazing, Suze, if you could email that to me and I'll post it onto the website and our Facebook page for everyone to be able to review.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so thinking about the ick. Wherever there's the down arrow, you're going to be thinking about the ick. Or you can even say the ick. And wherever there's an up arrow, you can put one of your up attributes. Preferably the one we just did, because it's going to strengthen it even more. Or you can look at that ick and go, okay, so, you know, I ate like a lot of Doritos the last 6 months. Okay, so what would that point me towards? Well, it's not going to point me towards not eating Doritos. It's going to point me to the feeling of it. So the feeling of eating a lot of Doritos, that makes me feel kind of pukey. It's pointing me towards the feeling of wanting to be healthy. Okay, or maybe it was like, man, I watched a lot of Netflix. really wasted a lot of time. Okay, how does that feel? It feels icky. You could define it. You don't have to. But what's on the other side of that? Oh, maybe I'd like to use my time more productively or more creatively. All right, does that make sense? So you're going to pick an up that ick is pointing you toward. And then we're going to do these statements and watch it transform for yourself. Okay? Does that make sense? I'd like to kind of do this with somebody. Does somebody feel like throwing their mic on and doing it with me? Or do you want to just all do it together? Maybe I'll do it together. Yeah, okay. I should ask you all to turn your cameras on so I can see if your lips are moving or not. This audience participation is why I like being in person with people, because it's like, let's do it. I want you to feel how it can transform. Okay? So think about something that you're not feeling all that great about. It could just be the ick, or there could be a specific thing. And then what's the feeling that it's pointing toward on the upside of the line? So if a friend was feeling like that, so if a friend said, oh my gosh, I ate 27 pounds of Doritos over the last 6 months, you would say, ooh, what would you rather do? I'd rather eat in a healthy way. Good. So it would be, you want to be healthy. Okay, so you're focusing on the be, not the do. Got it? All right. Let's start together. That doesn't feel good. It's not me. And then breathe in through your nose. Let it go. Instead, I'd rather feel, even if I don't know how. Breathe it in. I like putting the even if I don't know how, because oftentimes the monkey will come up and go, awesome, don't know how. I can feel, or I can feel, I can't do both at the same time. So I choose to be, and breathe it in. Now, people will often say to me, is it okay if I do it silently? Yes, but it's more effective if you do it out loud. Why? Because when you're doing it silently, your mind could go off in all different directions. But when you're speaking, you're in conscious mind and it's focused and you're feeling the vibration of the words. So you're getting the full kinesthetic experience and you're hearing it as well. So you're getting the auditory experience. And so I would suggest out loud is always best. Okay. These are a little bit like paint by numbers, okay? They're not exactly a script, but I teach people as a script so that you can then become really good at having this conversation, and your subconscious mind will run those steps by itself, even when you're sleeping. People that study with me are like, it's amazing. Like I was dreaming and I was like repatterning in my dream. And I'm like, yeah, because the subconscious mind is in charge when you're dreaming. And when it knows how to do this, it just takes it, because this is how we learn. This doesn't feel right. I need a solution. I'd rather have this instead. I can't hang on to the old way and the new way. So which one do I want? I want the new way. You're at the line with choice. Now we're going to apply it. So when will you be to that? Today, tonight, tomorrow, or you can do tonight and do 2 for tomorrow because it's kind of late. Okay, I will be today when I. Make it easy, make it doable, only relies on you. I used to say under 10 minutes, under $10. Better yet, if it can be free and only relies on you. So did you know you can be productive when you make a cup of tea or when you brush your teeth? Yeah. It's the feeling you're going for, and you're tying it to some kind of a real activity, and the subconscious mind will just go check. Now, when you do that, if you say, there I am being, and reinforce it, that's extra points. But if you don't remember, your subconscious mind will anyway. Repatterning is about training your subconscious mind to do it for you. It's too hard to remember when you're on this side to think positively. You want something to just move you over that line. So this is the reinforcing of that learning. And now we want to tie it to something that you've done before. So where do you remember that feeling? When did it happen? Happened when you were, so I remember being productive. It happened when I pivoted all the courses online. So it's got to be your example. It's your own work. You're probably noticing that you're breathing more openly. Shoulders are going back, coming out of your ears a bit, standing a bit taller. Okay, this is what happens when you repattern. You're showing up as more of who you really are because you're not really this. This is there to point you. So now let's do the I am. Let's claim it. I am creating more, and that feels like me. And you're putting your feeling word there. I am creating more creativity. I am creating more passion, or whatever the word was for you, health. And that feels like me. So you're owning it. Good job, me. There's the gratitude. However you want to do it. Give yourself a pat on the back or a little heart hug. Gratitude. And then, if you want to, you can do the I'm grateful for that situation because it reminded me of who I really am, and that is when you can give gratitude for a situation that you thought was ick, you own it. It doesn't own you. You're empowered. You grew through it. You became a better human being. All right, so where does this apply? Well, repatterning applies everywhere to everyone all the time. And I want to do a really quick overview of Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. Maslow put this together in 1943, and if you remember, that was probably the last time that we had a worldwide challenge. It was the middle of World War II. And this hierarchy of human needs has been taught in every introductory psychology course and philosophy course since. So you may have seen it already, but these are the levels of needs that we need to meet. And I wanted to show it to you so that you'll recognize when you're feeling off. In fact, at the beginning of COVID, I did a series of navigating new normal, and I did it 3 times a day, complimentary courses online, and there's recordings of them are available. And I talked about printing this off and putting it on your fridge to make sure that you're meeting your basic needs. And so the very first level that he says must be met are your physiological needs: food, sleep, and water. He also talks about breathing. It's a physiological need. You need to keep breathing. It's really important for life. Okay. When we're talking food, that's why maybe some people were overeating a bit because they were trying, their brain was going, something's off. What need? Well, I'll just eat more. It's why people were hoarding water and toilet paper because they were wanting to make sure that their physiological needs were met. And for those of you who find yourself sleeping more, yeah, especially if you're doing energy work, you just need to fill yourself up more. And if you've been having challenges with the sleep, set the intention. I will sleep deeply and, rejuvenate my body. You can say, I'm turning off the channel of the downloads. For those of you who get those downloads, you get to decide. I basically just go, this is my time so that I can do everything that I'm going to be doing tomorrow and support all the people I'm going to be supporting tomorrow. I'm filling me up. It's not selfish. When you're on a plane, they say, put your own mask on first. So one of the things in repatterning that we really focus on is getting you as solid as possible. So the next level up is that once we have those physiological needs met, then it's our needs for safety and security. We need to know we have finances, a roof over our head. You can do this if you're feeling a bit shaky. Super simple things like turning the lock on your front door and going, there, that feels secure. In fact, I was suggesting to people early on in COVID when they were panicky, and you can do this if you find yourself in that place because it'll pop up from out of nowhere when you're feeling a little bit not quite having your needs met. Usually when you're tired, hungry, thirsty, or your pants need changing. Just go sit in your car, do up the seatbelt and go, I'm secure. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference. So do easy things. When COVID first started, we were talking about, I love our house. And we went for a walk last night, and as we were walking, I picked this house. This looks like a really good house. Subconscious mind doesn't know the difference. It just reinforces and goes, okay, safety and security is met. Done. Check that box. Okay. Our next need is to know that we are loved and that we belong and that we have value and connection. which is why I have said we're not socially isolating, we're physically distancing and socially connecting. Esteem, everyone has a need to feel valued, that they're making a contribution, that they make a difference. And a lot of people have lost what used to create that esteem for them. Their job has shifted or changed, or maybe they've been laid off. Find a way to make sure that you know that you're valued, and giving yourself a pat on the back, congratulating yourself will feed this. Most people want that place of self-actualization. You're the one that gets to create it. It doesn't come from outside of you. And repatterning does that with the I am. Becoming the best version of you doesn't mean that the other version of you wasn't awesome. It just means that you're up in the value. You're going from a grade 12 to a first year university. You're going from a bachelor's degree to a master's degree, or you're going from grade 2 to grade 4. Whatever it is, you're just upping it. So Maslow's hierarchy, keep it in mind. It really works. And it will help explain some of that odd behavior that you may have been seeing in others or yourself. Any questions or comments before we kind of pull this together here? Is that helping make some sense for you? Okay, I know there's still people there. I can see you there. Okay, super. Thank you, Joy. I'm not done yet, but I just want to make sure that that's making some sense, and I'm hoping it's helpful. Super good. Okay, thank you, Kath. Okay, good. Thank you, Joy. All right, then I'm going to continue on, and I hope that you do have some questions or comments or feedback. So I'm going to talk about hope. Hope is when you hold a space for yourself. Hope is actually the absence of doubt. And I make up these funny little quotes all the time, but here's one for you that's a real good Suzism. If you're going to doubt anything, doubt. Yeah, just doubt. Hold a space for yourself. You don't have to be in any of these things, the chaos, the fear, the struggle, any of that stuff. Instead, you can be calm, connected. You're the one that gets to decide how you want to be, even if you don't know how. And I'm going to show this as you move through the chaos to calm, but you could also move through the chaos to moving forward, or to ease, or to certainty. It's not a one-to-one like black and white opposites. It's just, what is it pointing you toward? And we don't scratch out the downside. No, we give gratitude to it because it helped us become more of who we are. That's the place of empowerment. So from who you really are, I suggested to people that you may want to make some lists, topics to keep front of mind during this COVID time. That'll help you focus from the be to the do, because I know some of you are list makers. So for those of you who need something really concrete, this one's for you. So create your new normal, your daily activities. What are your daily activities? You know, during April, May, June, and July, I did an 8 a.m. every morning intention setting. They're all available on YouTube. You can go take a look. They're also on the Facebook, Belief Repatterning Facebook site. If you want to go digging for them, you can find them there. Why did I do that? Because I wanted to give my days some punctuation. I did it mostly for me. I met my needs first, and then the needs of others. Because I set an intention for myself at the beginning of every day. And I set it with an emotion. I'm just looking for, there it is right there. I set it with an emotion. It's one of the skills that I teach, and one of the practices that I really support people with. I have this little calendar called Intention for the Day, and it just gives you every day. So today's the 9th. So let's just have a go and see what today is. Courageous. The world needs more people who are willing to face their fears with courage. Today I choose to be courageous when okay? And then there's a little place for you to do your own work. So it's a calendar, and it's a diary, and it's a journal, and it's a, inspiration. And it doesn't say Wednesday, September the 9th. It just says September the 9th. So we have all kinds of things to support you with that. We have a little I call it the pocket full of possibilities. This is 999 words on the upside of the line. Emotions. I also have one that you may find, those of you who are actively doing dowsing, it's called Pathways. And it goes from the downside to the upside. So when you're picking up a feeling of something, and then what are some of the possibilities on the other side? All kinds of tools to support you in whatever way you want. But create your new normal. Whatever your daily activity is going to be, meet your needs first and keep Maslow's hierarchy in mind. The second one would be focus on what you can do. So how might you be of service to others? What have you been wishing you had time for? I remember when COVID first started, I said very quietly to Phil, I hope it lasts long enough so I can get to the to-do stuff that I've been wanting to do, the projects I've wanted to start. So I'm writing the book that I just have been too busy traveling around and doing presentations to get to. What learning might you want to do? And delegate things and give others the chance to rise. It's a way of being connected and filling that need as well. So we can focus on what we can't do. Oh, I can't fly to. Or I can focus on what I can do. It makes all the difference in the world when you focus on the do from the upside of the line. A third list is keep track of what you're missing. Now, those of you who know me well are going, really, Suze? You're saying keep track of what you're missing? Yes, because it's things that you were taking for granted, and you want to make sure that you have a decision for when restrictions lift. So restrictions are lifting slowly. One of the things that I've been really missing is swimming. And so I put into my calendar to begin swimming as soon as the restrictions lifted. Well, then I was kind of weirded out by it. So I went swimming a lot in lakes and rivers. And now that it's September, I'm ready to go back to the pool. Create things that work from where you are, that keep you moving forward. And if you're finding you're not ready for. And then the fourth one, and notice this is in bigger, increase your self-care. Now it says give yourself a wink. What do I mean by that? Well, one of the things that I suggest is you may want to put that down arrow and that up arrow on your mirror in your bathroom. When you walk in, decide which side of the line that you're on in that moment. It'll help you become mindful. And one thing that'll always give you something on the upside. So if you're feeling here, walk across the line and go like this. That's it. That's the whole thing. Just give yourself a wink. So pretend I'm your mirror right now. And on the count of three, most of you have your cameras off anyway. But on the count of the three, just wink. You ready? Calvin, I can see you. 1, 2, 3. See, you can't wink without smiling or giggling inside. And what happens is that your subconscious mind is then going to be just giving you a wink whenever you catch your reflection. So it might be in the mirror, but it might be in a window or in somebody's glasses or in your rear view mirror when you're driving. Can you imagine your subconscious mind every time you catch your reflection going, yeah, super easy technique to use and will really build your coach. Congratulate yourself, that pat on the back or a thumbs up, and do increase your water, sleep, vitamins, laughter, and positive conversations. Your immune system is too important to be left to chance. And your mindset, number one thing in determining where that immune system is sitting. So there's some ideas for you. Another thing you may want to consider is joining us for Flip Your Switch. It is a 10-part course. We record every one of them. Coming up live again on the 14th to the 25th, Monday to Friday. We're doing it 5:15 to 6:30. It's a $149 investment. Note there's a little star beside that. As of September the 16th, the price is returning to the pre-COVID rate, which was $199. I dropped it for COVID. I thought 6 months is good. And now we're there. And if you can't make it at that one, but you know you want to do it, when you go to Learn It, Live It, there's a place that you can go and say, yes, I want to do this at the $149 rate, and you can pay for it, and it's good for everything in the future. We will be doing live ones again as well, as soon as it's prudent to do so. Meanwhile, they're online, and you can get all kinds of great information. I hope that you've got some today, and I'm going to ask you one more question. How do you want to look back on this time? With regret and disappointment, anger, blame, or with gratitude to yourself? You're the one that gets to decide. Every situation is an opportunity. And so these are the things that belief repatterning will support you with. Staying solid, getting that 7-step system happening, understanding the clarity that happens when you're making all your decisions from this side of the line, from the best version of you. So you're not making decisions from fear, flight, freeze, react. You're responding to your life. And you can transform anger to peace, frustration to calm. I've had people say, does belief repatterning work with? And the answer is yes. It works with everything because it supports your mind in transforming and creating what it is that you want. And so when? Well, I always believe that the best time to plant a tree is now. Yeah, maybe it was 30 years ago, but you didn't get around to it. Because when you do something now, then you own it, and then you've won. And so, no, you can and will repattern absolutely anything that you choose. We're here to support you. There's my coordinates of how you can get a hold of me, and I am totally open to answer questions or receive observations. Thank you very much, Helen. Nice. I'm glad that you're realizing how great you've been doing. Give yourself a big pat on the back. Yes. Good job. You know, I think that we're being called up here to just show up as your best self. Stop taking it all for granted. All right. Questions, comments, curiosities?
Thank you so much, Sue.
Thank you so much, Sue.
That was an amazing presentation. You know, there's a few things that I just want to kind of recap on that really spoke to me. Right in the beginning, you had said, speak kindly to yourself like you would with a friend. And that's it's so simple and but yet just so powerful. Like a lot of the things that you've talked about in this presentation, I'm just thinking like, that's so simple. It's so simple, but it holds so much power, right? And there's the easy button. Perfect. Well said. So yeah, no, I'm just you know, a lot of things that you touched on are just were just beautiful. And you know, one thing that when you were talking about the Maslow's hierarchy, the pyramid, at the very bottom is the physiological, and it's you know, food, the sleep, and the water. And that's something, you know, anytime I feel off, that is the first thing I go to is like, okay, am I hangry? Am I thirsty? Am I dehydrated? You know, did I get enough rest last night? And I'll kind of go over those. And then like I do like kind of a process of elimination to kind of try to figure out what's going on. So I really like the points that you touched on. They're really, really powerful. And, you know, this whole COVID thing that's you know, that's going on, you know, at the beginning, I was definitely in a plate, like feeling, you know, unpleasant with the whole situation, and, you know, feeling frustrated and stuff like that. And, you know, one thing, like looking back, you know, I'm actually like super grateful, you know, for you know, this entire experience, you know, whatever you want to call it. This entire experience has actually been, you know, very beautiful, you know, not just for myself, but I mean, you touched on it as well, walking with your partner and seeing these families riding bikes together, because I've seen the same thing. And you know, the time that's been opened up, you know, being able to, like you said, the to-do list, like I did a massive purge in my house, and it just felt so great, right? Just so cleansing, going through and getting things done that I procrastinated on and put off to the side. So there's just so many good things. And so what I'm getting at here is in the beginning, and not just with COVID, but just with other aspects of my life too, you know, I've realized that it's so important, you know, perspective is so important, and how you look at things, you know. And it's yeah, for, you know, the unpleasant feelings of things are very important, because they, like you said, they point you into the direction of what you want, right? And that's what happened with this whole experience, right? Of, you know, being frustrated and you know, confused, etc. You know, having these feelings, and then, you know, just realizing, sitting in that unpleasant feeling, and feeling like, okay, I can't keep sitting in this, because, you know, I'm just gonna make myself sick, right? And
Yeah.
so, you know, shifting that perspective and kind of just, you know, looking at the positive side of things, right? So
Well, and you know, when you're saying that you go through that, am I hangry, hungry, tired, thirsty? I always add, or do my pants need changing? Because that's when you're a mom, that's the baby is crying. Are they hungry? Are they tired? Are they thirsty? Or do their pants need changing? And you know, people laugh when I say your pants need changing, but it's like, metaphorically, are you sitting in the poop? You know, and if you're sitting in the poop, just get out of it, change your pants, you know. And it's that changing the perspective, and instead of banging your head against the wall, it's learning to look out the window as a habit without having to stop and think, I should think positively, because that's way too hard to do. When
yeah,
you're over here, way too hard to tell yourself to do that. But you know, and what happens as you train your mind in this way is that, you know, people say to me, do you ever get upset? Of course I do. When I'm hungry, tired, thirsty, and my pants need changing. You know, when I'm down a little bit, like I haven't filled myself up to overflow. But the difference is that I'm there for like moments, minutes, maybe an hour if it's a big one, you know, not days, weeks, and decades. I don't hang on to stuff, because that's going to hurt you physiologically. Bruce Lipton's work shows that it destroys your cells. And so, you know, let's have healthy thinking.
absolutely. Yeah, and that's like, you know, on the list here, you know, one of the things was, you know, about I had an inner critic, like, about being triggered, and my view on triggers is completely changed, right? You know, like, usually, you know, I get triggered, and, you know, I've always had this belief that, you know, anger is wrong, it's bad, and that's that early programming of, you know, being modeled to me in my environment, what is acceptable and what's not acceptable, right? And then disowning that part of myself, where, you know, anger is a natural human emotion, but there's healthy anger, like you said. You just, you know, you just let that emotion, you know, do, you know, don't cause harm to yourself or to others, but, you know, allow that anger to express itself. And then there's unhealthy anger, which is holding on to it for what you said, for days, weeks, months, decades. And you know, and, you know, the triggers have been the single most powerful growth experience, you know, in the past 6 months for me, of realizing, like, oh, wait a minute, the trigger is never about the other person, it's always about me. So what the heck is going on? And then pointing, and then looking back at myself and being like, okay, I need to be my own private investigator, and I need to investigate, like, what the heck's going on, what's going on within me, what signal is erupting right now that I need to pay attention to, what's my body telling me. And so that's been the most powerful.
That introspection is great, Calvin. But what I would suggest is make sure that you're on this side of the line before you go there.
Oh,
Because
the
if you're
aggression.
that you're you know, owning who you are on the upside of the line and going, that was not me. So you're solidly on this side of the line before you start looking at it. Otherwise, it can take you down. That introspection can really, really push you down further, unless you're solidly on this side of the line. And what I say, then you shine a flashlight on it. So you don't ignore it. But what I find with a lot of people is that they're like spending so much time trying to figure out where it came from and what went wrong and being introspective about it. It's like driving down Deerfoot Trail, staring in the rearview mirror. It's going to get ugly, you know. Like, you want to glance in the rearview mirror, but you want to stay focused on where you're going and where you are presently, and checking that. Okay, does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely, 100%, absolutely. No, thank you.
So many people spend all the time trying to investigate it, and it's just like, then you're creating more of it. And yes, it's important to take a look at it, but I'll give you another quick one here. You know, if I have a plant and it's not growing, I don't dig up the root system to take a look at the roots to see what the root of the problem is. I give it more water or more sunshine or less water. Like, I give it the good conditions to grow in that it requires to grow. And so that's, that's what I would suggest, is that to really, you want to make sure that you're aware of and you're acknowledging, but you don't want to feed it, because it'll just overtake otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
And I'm not saying you, I'm just saying one.
Yeah, no, I like that analogy. One thing I would like to add with that is, you know, myself, I do like finding the root of things. Not all things, but I do like finding the root of things, because I find, just myself personally, I find that there's lots of teachings in that. So how you're saying, if the plant's dying, you don't dig up the roots to figure out what's going on. Which there's definitely, like, I agree with you. However, if you wanted to learn more about the roots of that plant and maybe how it feeds and how it absorbs water and nutrients, if you wanted to learn more about the growth of that plant, maybe you would look at the roots.
You'd look at the roots of a healthy plant.
Well, you said if the plant wasn't growing.
Yeah, I wouldn't look at the roots of it when it wasn't growing, because it's going to hurt you. It's not going to help it. Yeah, just something to think about.
Oh no,
yeah.
for sure. No, definitely.
If you want to know more, you'd want to look at a healthy plant to find out, because you're not going to find out how it grows by looking at an unhealthy plant. So you're not going to be able to figure out how you're growing by looking at it from an unhealthy. That's why I say, when you're firmly on this side of the line, then you flashlight back and take a look at it, because you're on this side of the line and going, okay, I get it. And I suspect that that's what you're doing. Okay,
totally, yeah.
First, because if you're trying to do it from over here, it'll pull you down. Joy just put a note. Yes, I will be at the Calgary New Earth Expo. And that's October 2nd to 4th. It's running, which is fantastic.
Oh, wow.
Big shout out to Gail Stant. She's working with Alberta Health Services to make sure that it works for everyone. And you can get a complimentary ticket at the event listing on Joyful Promotions or on my site as well. So yeah, there is a charge to go in if you arrive at the door, but get yourself a complimentary ticket. We don't have physical tickets this year to pass out like we have in the past. COVID, we're saving trees as well, which is great, but you can get them online for sure. So thank you, Joy, for mentioning that. I also just wanted to say, if anybody's interested in any of the products that I have, they're all listed on the beliefrepatterning.com website. And I live in Airdrie, and I'm totally happy to put them in my mailbox, or so you don't have to pay for shipping if you're in the area. Anyone can unmute if you want to talk. Perfect. That's great. And Mauro, lovely to see you on as well. I think you are who invited me the last time, as I recall. At the beginning, we were thinking, how long ago was it? So lovely to see you, quote unquote, see you. Turn on your cameras or something, There's some friends and folks that I know online that are hiding here. So anybody want to, any other questions or comments before we close? No camera, no mic from Joy. All righty. No other questions or comments? Okay. I hope I answered everyone's questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Suze, again for coming on and doing this wonderful presentation, and everyone who's tuned in to tonight's meeting. Suze is going to send over the PowerPoint presentation, so I'll post that on the website, and I'll put it in our next month's newsletter so you can see it there. Also, this is all recorded, so I'll also put that on the website, and I'll post it on Facebook and stuff, so everyone will have access to this. And also on the Calgary Dowsers website and on the newsletter, I know, Suze, you had your Learn It, Live It website shown. I have also a Facebook and the website. I have a bunch of different links for Suze Facebook and websites and stuff like that. So if you haven't written it down, you can always find the information there and get directly shot over to her website. And
And I'll give you another little hint. If you Google Suze, S-U-Z-E, you'll get Susie Orman, who doesn't know how to spell because it should have an I or a Y to be Susie. She spells it the same way I do. You get either her or me. And if you put Suze Casey in, I'm about the first 500,000 hits that you get. So I'm pretty easy to find. It's interesting because people go, oh, you've got so much stuff. And I'm like, I've been doing it for 30 years. So yeah, there's like 4 years worth of podcasts that are available. There's all kinds of stuff. The beliefrepatterning.com is about the technique. There's a SuzeCasey.com, which is about me. It's a little out of date, sorry. And then the learnit-live-it.com is where all of our online offerings, but online and in person when it's prudent to do so, again, they're all listed there, and that's where you can register and find out more about those. So super happy to support anyone. If there's anything else that you would like from me, if you're looking at individualized coaching or you want me to come and speak to another group, we do all kinds of, you name it, we do it. So as long as it's legal, moral, and fun, I'm in. So thank you so much for the invitation, Calvin. And remind people of the upcoming Questers online conference. Yes, he did that at the beginning, but probably want to do that again. So yeah, I'm going to say thank you so much, and I hope to be able to come and see you all in person soon.